Three, two, one. Broadcasting tape delayed from New York City.
New York
City
City.
Field parking lot, to be exact, where the Mets play basketball. And New York City is also home to the home offices of the WNBA. Right? Right.
Right.
The Sports Economy Show is on. I'm Bill. This is JP, and we're here to pump you up. Today's show is about the WNBA schedule, because if it weren't for Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, nobody cares about the WNBA. But for whatever reason, this rivalry has elevated the WNBA to be a big deal. Wouldn't you say that to be true, JP?
Oh, it's absolutely true. I mean, the ratings have gone up sky high when you compare them to past years, and it's clearly it's Caitlin. A lot of people would look at it as it's Caitlin Clark and them.
Yeah.
It's like it's Caitlin Clark and everybody else, but Angel Reese has been a factor in this as well. But I mean, it's really Caitlin Clark who
Yeah.
moved the needle, but it has been changed somewhat by Angel Reese.
There have been plenty of stars in the WNBA.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, if you go down the
but
list, Sue Bird, Tisha Pinachero,
Carol Swoops,
yeah, Rebecca Lobo,
Yeah.
Teresa Holtzclaw. They've had so many who
Yeah.
played in the WNBA and been great players. And, I mean, it's just the fact that I think every few years there's always somebody that, I remember when Rebecca Lobo, when they won at Connecticut, it was a big thing. And I think they went
Yeah.
undefeated. And, it wasn't that long after the whole Christian Laettner thing. And, where Duke.
Yeah, the actual league was only about 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
when
So
she
when she
started
came
playing.
out of college, it was a big
Yeah.
deal. And, but I mean, the WNBA has consistently had the same kind of level. They've had a few ups and downs, but it's
Yeah.
been the same kind of level. But they've never had anything like it's been the last year.
We did a show on the WNBA quite a while ago,
Right.
because it's a big deal. So that's why we're doing a show today, because people want to know about this stuff. And believe it or not, to this date, the highest viewed video that we have is on the WNBA. That's right. The WNBA expansion, because everybody wants to know that it's coming to a town near them. That's what everybody wants to know. Anyway, so I got a couple things to say about the upcoming schedule. May 16th, the regular season begins. And then June 1st through the 17th is what they call the Commissioner's Cup tournament. It's an in-season tournament gimmick. But hey, whatever it takes to get people to watch,
And
The
then same
NBA
thing
has
the
the
NBA
Emirates
did.
Cup. Say it
Isn't it
again?
the same thing the NBA did in their regular season?
Yeah, but I think they started it first, and the NBA goes, hey, they got it going on. So we're going to start the Emirates Cup in Las Vegas.
Right. That's right.
That's right.
And
then you have
somebody's making money other than us.
That's
we
right.
can get in on that too.
Yes.
That's what rich people do. That's what rich people do, Bill.
Oh, yeah.
When we become
Speaking of the Emirates Cup, what now?
When we become gazillionaires, we'll be doing the same damn thing.
We're gazillionaires. I'll copy whatever you got.
That's right. Whatever you're doing to make money, I'm doing it too, because obviously it works.
Yeah. I saw a ref's jersey the other day in the WNBA, a picture, and it had Emirates Cup on it.
Yeah.
Shocking. Yeah.
That's right. The NBA is doing it too. The NBA has got they're parlaying all that stuff, man. It's like any way you can make that money. And millions of people are watching. And the fact that you remembered it, the fact that you remembered it means that it was worthwhile that they did it. I saw the same thing. I was watching an NBA playoff game, and Stephanie said, "Oh, the referees have sponsored logos on their jerseys," and I was
Did you
like,
immediately go into, hey, go to the YouTube channel where we talked about that?
I didn't, but I literally thought if she noticed it, I don't think it's coincidence that the refs are
That's
on
why it's
camera
there.
on those instant replays. I
Yeah.
mean, they got a close up shot of refs
Yeah.
during the instant replays, and I think it's all because of sponsorship.
Yeah. That's why you put logos. I have a logo here. You got a logo in your background.
That's right.
That's why we have it. See my logos here? What do they say? Sports Economy 101.
That's
That's why when the coach is standing up in a press conference, they got the logo background right behind him.
That's right.
What
Mountain
sells,
Dew.
baby?
Yep. Sugar Rush High.
Sugar Rush.
Whatever it is in the background.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna have to get you a background instead of that ESPN thing you got there.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So continuing on. Anyway, they have the Commissioner's Cup Championship on July the 1st.
Yeah.
I read about it. It's a long, drawn out thing how they do that. And the 17th through the 21st is the WNBA All-Star break. I hope it's better than the NBA All-Star game. Never watched it, but this year I'm going to watch it. And then July 19th is the WNBA All-Star game. And then on September the 11th, the regular season ends. And then the playoffs start on September 14th. So they squeeze their whole season. I don't know how many games they play. Will they play 40 games maybe?
Right.
Definitely shorter than
yeah,
the
it is
NBA.
condensed. I don't remember how many games it is. I think it's around 40 games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you are.
And they
correct.
make sure they end right before the NBA starts their season.
Right. So I mean, well, all right. Well, let me ask you this. So, do you watch the WNBA?
No, but I'm going to start because we're doing these videos and I need to be more educated.
well, do you watch women's college basketball?
Somewhat. I don't. I watched the a little bit of the conference tournaments.
Yeah.
Probably for the whole weekend, I'll probably watch a total of a half a game.
Yeah.
In the total of the conference, and during the NCAA tournament, I'll probably watch a total of 2 games out of the whole thing.
Right.
The men's tournament, I'll probably watch 8 games total if you add it all up.
Oh, Mister Kentucky March Madness in the middle of football season.
That's right.
We already know where your allegiance lie.
That's where my allegiances are. It's not with the NFL, okay? It's not with the NFL. Well, speaking of the NFL, did you hear where they're going to have the draft at in 2027?
I heard it's going to be in Washington, right?
Yeah, on the main draft is going to be on the mall.
I heard a stat about the Green Bay draft.
Yeah.
And at first I thought they said it was 25,000 people. I was like, boy, that's a lot of people. No, it was 250,000 people. 250,000
out there in that parking lot. Out there in that parking lot
where they were doing it. I think it was like in the area of the stadium.
Oh no, the stage was set up right in front of the stadium, and they had the parking lots where all the people were.
Is that where they were standing in the parking lot?
Yeah, they were in the parking lot. That's how they could get that many people in there.
Jesus, 250,000. I didn't even know there was 250,000 people in Green Bay.
No, they travel from everywhere. This is the NFL. It's the gorilla in the room. You know this.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
They were people from foreign countries that come over here, probably.
Yeah, well, it is the NFL. So back to the WNBA. I got a few.
Back to the WNBA. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I got a few, as you would say, statistics. Right?
Okay.
Like we basically started this off saying, the factor of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So let me just give you some statistics. Okay. So average viewership in 2024 of the WNBA was 657,000 viewers per game, right? And then in 2023, it wasn't as drastic as everybody says it is, but on average, it was 505,000. So it's 150, about 150,000 more viewers per game. But here's the big thing: the games with the Caitlin Clarks and the Angel Reeses, those are usually not games that fall on regular channels, right? Where they have the good matchups are the ones that most people watch for the WNBA. They're not the NFL where people will watch the Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans on a regular Sunday game. So most people watch the appointment matchups. And those games were on ESPN last year. And in 24 games in the regular season, they averaged 1.2 million viewers per game, which was up
double.
That it was up 170% based on ESPN's ratings for the WNBA year prior. And of course, this year they included Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And, so, these two, going back to the college basketball, in 2023, the Final Four averaged 500,000 in the regular season. No, excuse me. 2023, the Final Four averaged 4.5 million viewers. 4.5, right? Which was high for women's college basketball. 2024, the word was out with Caitlin Clark. Everybody knew who she was. She was a star. Yeah. And the Final Four averaged 13.8 million viewers. 13.8 for the Final Four weekend. Yeah. And then back to this year with no Caitlin Clark, viewership for the Final Four was 3.9 million. So
we're back to where it was.
We could see who really moves the news, But, in my opinion, like I heard something that I think is a little bit much, right? Like I heard somebody say, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are doing the same thing for the WNBA that Magic Johnson and Larry Bird did for the NBA. And I think people just, to throw something
They're lumping that in.
Huh?
They're lumping Angel Reese in with that. Magic brought a whole different level to the NBA.
You got to, I think a lot of people, because we're older, so a lot of people that are, younger than 50 won't realize that the true impact of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. They'll know they're legends. But Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, from the moment they joined the NBA in 1979, the first NBA Finals was May of 1980. Yeah. Think about this stat. From May of 1980 until the next 9 NBA Finals championships. Yeah. 8 out of 9 were won by either Larry Bird or Magic Johnson. The only one were the Philadelphia 76ers, the 4-4-4 year with Moses.
The 4-4-4 year.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it.
And then what? In 2 of the matchups, 3 of the matchups, they faced each other. So either one or the other were going to win. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to look at it and say, you just pump the brakes. The NBA was on tape delayed.
Yeah. That's why I start this show, tape delayed, as an homage to JP.
That's right. Tape delayed. That means nobody's watching. So we're going to stick it on TV when nobody cares, right? That is the equivalent. Just put it on at 11:30 after everybody goes to sleep after the local news. That's what it was. And then those two changed the NBA, and now guys are making gazillion dollars for coming off the bench in the NBA. That's what Magic and Larry did for the NBA. And then, of course, Michael Jordan parlayed that into, took it to another level.
Those three people did more for the NBA than anybody ever.
Right. But, Caitlin Clark, and I'm just going to say Caitlin Clark. I think Angel Reese is really, really good. And she's a key factor to why but it's really Caitlin Clark. Yeah. She's putting asses in the seats, as they would say. She is literally a major, major superstar.
Well, when she comes to town, they play in the NBA arena.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And did you see that the WNBA Flyers team she plays for, they played an exhibition last night in Iowa.
Yeah.
Against Brazil.
In Des Moines?
Yeah. And of course they sold it out.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, so now they're doing, exhibition games and selling out. So it's like, I mean, she's just, I can't explain how much of a star she is. She's hanging out with damn Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah. I mean, she's what? She can't be more than 25 years old, right?
Yeah.
And she's everywhere. Like, my mother knows who Caitlin Clark is.
And that's a big deal.
I don't know if there's another WNBA player that she knows,
Probably not.
But she knows who Caitlin Clark is.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of Caitlin Clark, the Caitlin Clark effect, I have some information about the games that are going to be on television this year.
All right, let's see it.
All right.
Let's hear it.
So the national broadcast streaming schedule features over 175 games during the regular season. You can watch 175 games. I bet you couldn't watch that in 2015.
No.
So Disney, which owns ESPN, is going to air 26 games. So over the ESPN networks and ABC, they're going to air 26 games. 13 of them will be on ABC.
How many will include one or the other?
About to find out.
All right.
ESPN is going to broadcast 13 must-see matchups and 29 postseason games.
Really?
Yes. The WNBA Finals, presented by YouTube. Don't forget your sponsor here.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the first year they're going to have a best-of-7 format. They haven't had that before. They're going to have a best-of-7 format for the finals.
Okay.
ION, which is an over-the-air broadcasting network, but you can get it on all your streaming services wherever. They're going to be two games, a doubleheader on Friday nights. Every Friday night during the season, they're showing a doubleheader. CBS will be airing regular season games on primetime broadcast television, and specifically, I believe, 2 between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever. Why would they show those games?
Because Clark and Angel Reese.
That's right. That's right. You got the villain and you got the superstar.
Yeah.
That's what we all look for, right?
Yeah.
You got 2 people that have opposing sides, just like Showtime and Boston.
That's right.
Remember those 2? The opposing people playing.
Right.
That's why they're showing them on TV. And Amazon Prime has also exclusive streaming rights to the Commissioner's Cup game. Remember I brought up the Commissioner's Cup? Amazon Prime will be showing that. So the WNBA is bringing in money from all this television exposure.
Mm-hmm.
This has helped them greatly, more than they've ever had this exposure before.
I'm actually happy for them. I hope they can parlay this into, like I've heard a lot of the players still complaining about the money. I mean, they're never going to get to the NBA. I mean, the amount of time it took for those players to make the money that they're making. Yeah. And I still believe, even with Magic and Bird, they would not be making the money they're making if it wasn't for Michael Jordan.
How much were they making? How much were they making in the 70s?
Well, I don't know.
I'm just talking about on a ratio basis. They were probably making about as much money in the 70s as the women are making today, percentage-wise.
Probably. But I remember hearing an interview with Charles Barkley, right?
Yeah.
And Charles Barkley said in 1980, I think it was 82 or 83. Well, no, it had to have been after Barkley got to the NBA. So I
I
think
think his
Barkley
rookie. I think his rookie season was
four,
83 or 84.
right? So I think it was
No,
the
it
same
wasn't.
year as
It wasn't
Jordan,
because he came. I think he came to the Sixers after they won the championship. It was probably 84,
right?
85.
So I think it was 84, right?
All right.
So it
Yeah.
must have been his rookie year. And they
Yeah.
gave Magic Johnson a contract where he was making $1 million a year,
Yes.
right? And Charles
Yep.
Barkley said he was in the locker room with Dr. J and some of the other players, and they celebrated because they never thought they would see the day where a player would
Yeah.
make $1 million. And
Yeah.
they thought, that means I can maybe able to make $1 million if I'm one of the best as well.
Yeah.
And so, and to see where it comes, where they've come from there. I mean, granted, that was 40 years ago, but I mean, I still don't think the money where it is just blown up to the point where it has. I don't think the NBA would have been like that if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. I think every sport has to have that, that generation. Although baseball, if you really think about baseball has had legends in the last 50 years. But if you really think about baseball, most of the iconic baseball players are baseball players from the past, like
Yeah.
the 60s and 50s. And, when people talk about greatest players and you think of iconic players, they weren't the players that were making a lot of money,
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's just because baseball is not the number one sport anymore, but they've had great players. Of course, one of
Yeah.
your boys, Albert Pujols, but people
Yeah.
still don't mention him first. They say Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio, and
That's because they've all heard these, but the Pujols is an iconic player.
yes, he's one of the greatest ever.
Yeah. So, anyways, but the women, I personally believe, are if they can get more stars and get more exposure, they can get on a trajectory to be making a lot more money because TV's giving them exposure now. Hopefully, they don't do anything stupid like the Adam Silver spoon with the All-Star game.
And this is another show that we could do, or at least somewhat. When you think about television nowadays, it's all about live sports now. Because the programming, they're not buying a bunch of shows anymore.
Yeah.
If they get live, NBC is now going to be they're back with the NBA for next season.
On Tuesdays nights starting next season, they'll be
Right.
having an NBA game on.
They got the promos running with John Tesh and the old NBA music, NBA on NBC music. So, because it's all about live sports now, especially for broadcast, they are looking for programming, and the best ratings are live TV. So if the WNBA is on a roll now, they need to parlay it, and maybe they'll get to a point where they're making, big time money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's all we got for today's show. It's all I got. You got anything left?
That's all I got today, man.
Yeah. You don't want to cheer for your favorite New York Liberty team, which is just down the road from the New York Mets City Field.
Nah. What? Do they have a Kansas City team? They don't have a Kansas City team in WNBA, do they?
No, they do not.
They don't have a Missouri team in the WNBA.
They don't have a St. Louis team. But hey, the WNBA is expanding. I did a show on it. That's our #1 rated video on the expansion of the WNBA. Anyway, actually, they literally have people with money trying to get a WNBA team in Nashville.
Nashville.
So, Nashville is a big deal nowadays.
It is. Nashville is the hot city right now. Everybody wants to go to Nashville. People want to move there. It's it's like Charlotte was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, folks. That's all we got. Remember to like and subscribe so we can get a gazillion dollars so we can get a WNBA team to Kansas City, Missouri. Where who plays? The Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
So long, everybody.
So long, everybody.